guys, hello and welcome to the Guest Life Podcast, episode 53. We got Phil Authier in the house today, a good friend of mine, contractor in the industry. Can't wait to hear his story. Before we get started, guys, just want to take a minute to thank everybody for tuning in. Without the listeners, the show wouldn't be as impactful as it can be. Everybody sharing, commenting, getting interactive with the podcast. It means the world to me. It means the world to the listeners and future listeners. As we grow the podcast and the brand, it's just so critical to be making sure that we're making this impact to our industry, to the city, and to everybody else we can reach. So, Phil, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah. Me and Phil have known each other for a long time now. And he was an early listener, always giving me great feedback, always went out of his way to kind of give me that call, send me that message. For the longest time, I thought it was just my mom. So thanks, Phil.
No problem. I'm a big fan. Love the podcast. Love everything you're doing in the community. And just happy to be here, man.
So IntegriMark, man. What's it all about? I get stopped all the time when I'm wearing your hat, and people want to know what the brand is.
It's a sick hat, eh?
It's a sick hat.
It's a sick logo.
Sick hat, sick logo.
Yeah.
What's behind the brand?
So IntegriMark, we are a growth-oriented general contractor based out of Hamilton. We specialize in home renovations. Aspiring custom home builder.
Yeah.
I throw that out there because I know how you operate. If I throw it out there, that means I got to do it because now it's on record, right?
100%. And fourth generation contractor, which is crazy.
That? Well, a bit of a backstory there. So my great-grandfather and my grandfather are from rural Quebec. They were contractors. My dad was born there. My grandpa and my dad relocated to Hamilton. My dad grew up working with his father. They ended up folding, and he went to work at DeFasco in the factory. When I was a kid, he went back to school, got a job in sales at DeFasco, had a successful career there, then was retired. And then, the rest is sort of on me. I kind of relaunched it with him.
That's amazing.
I'll get into that story in a bit. But it's there's a long history there.
Yeah, and then you've got two young chaps yourself.
Yep, I have a 3-year-old Luca and a 1-year-old Leo. Yeah, they are my pride and joy, and who knows? Maybe they'll grow up to take over the family business one day. At least
you'll get some free labor on for a couple of years.
Big time. Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it for 2 reasons. 1, free labor, and 2, I'm going to work them so they understand what hard work is. Right.
That's amazing, man.
You got to start from the bottom.
So you're based out of Hamilton?
Yep.
And talking about giving back and what you do, like what's some of the projects that you guys are doing around the city?
Giving back is in our DNA. It's a huge part of who we are. We team up with Habitat. So Habitat for Humanity, we've organized build days. A build day for Habitat is basically we form a team, we go down to whatever site they're working on and just attack the project. We do monetary donations to them a few times a year. Same with Indwell, same deal.
Oh, really?
We do a bunch of other stuff too, we're big in the youth sports, so we sponsor a lot of youth teams. Hamilton, Croatia, the soccer team, Stony Creek Warriors, hockey, stuff like that. So, I think sports is a great way for kids to learn, teamwork, responsibility, leadership. It's great for their development.
How funny is it back in the day that you didn't realize all the different teams? Like I remember playing at Chinook for hockey, and you'd have all these different teams, whether the Flames and there'd be someone's logo on it. Yeah. And it's pretty cool that later in life you're able to now be that logo on the jersey, right?
Yeah, it's pretty cool to see. My little cousin plays soccer for Hamilton, Croatia, and he sends me a pic of their new jerseys, and it's got IntegriMark right across the front. I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
pretty cool to see. Yeah.
That's amazing, man. So a little bit about Phil, man. I before the show we were talking. It was perfect. But what was your first job? Not with IntegriMark. What was your first job? We're going off cue.
Okay. My first job, I was actually a caddy at Hamilton Golf and Country Club. I was 12 years old. Was looking for a little job, like a paper out or something, which there weren't any available in my neighborhood. So my dad sees an ad in the classifieds, like, oh, Hamilton's looking for caddies. Here you go. You love golf. Like, go for it. So I used to ride my bike down to the golf course, caddy in the morning, caddy in the afternoon. I'd make $12 a round. And I thought, man, I'm rich. Like, look at all the money I got. I'd save all my money, throw it in my piggy bank. It was great. Yeah. It also grew my love for golf as well. I mean, that course is elite, and the golfers there were great too. So yeah, it was cool. It was a cool little experience as a 12-year-old.
12 years old, making $12 an hour. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Man, that's it's funny where we talk about how we started and what makes kind of an entrepreneur, and how is it, are you born with it, is it developed, and kind of how we expand into, the what drives you, right? Whether it's finances or whether it's
big time
goals, aspirations. So how'd you get into, working with your dad? Kind of, let's take a step back there. Working with your dad, since I've known IntegriMark, it's been the Phil show. Yeah. How's that dynamic working? I think a lot of people, wander with family businesses. I think you're kind of an anomaly where, your dad kind of he wants out, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas most dads won't fucking leave.
Yeah. So my dad is his main interests right now are golf, and playing hockey, being in shape, being retired, spending time with his grandkids. He tells me all the time how he wants out. Not right this minute, but he's slowly transitioning out. He's trying to prepare me, like, I'm not going to be around much longer, right? So, yeah, it was, so like the backstory there is, I didn't grow up an entrepreneur. I sort of had this crippling fear of failing in life, and I didn't really have, the hunger that I have now. This was sort of developed over time. I finished high school. I had no real direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. So I got a job as a butcher, working, paycheck to paycheck, cutting meat, no real ambition or aim. And, as you know, inaction just breeds doubt and fear. And so this was a cycle I was in, like just basically going nowhere. After doing this several years, I was not satisfied at all with myself and just felt like I was just underachieving, wasting talents that I didn't even know I had yet. Yeah. But it wasn't until my wife and I actually my fiance at the time, who's now my wife and mother of my kids, Sherry, Sherry. We bought a house in Hamilton, an old wartime home. This thing needed to be renovated. My dad, who was retired, I call him up. I said, "Hey, Pop, got a nice project for us. Let's attack it." So I took a couple weeks off work. We're working on the house.
Oh, really?
And I jokingly say to him, like, "Hey, Pop, wouldn't it be fun to relaunch a family business? I mean, we could be contractors. We could renovate houses." And he just chuckles and didn't really take it seriously. So I let it go. We're working on the house. A couple days later, I'll never forget this phone call. I'm barbecuing in my backyard after working all day on the house. And I call up my dad, and I'm just like, I give him my pitch. I'm like, I want to do this.
Come on.
Yes or no? He's like, okay. He's like, let me think about it. I'll let you know. The next morning, he picks me up to go work on the house. And he's like, you know what, son? It's like, I don't want to be old and gray looking back on my life and having a regret not starting a business with you. So he's like, I'm like, what are you saying, man? Like, tell me. He's like, let's do it. I'm like, yes. So this was a big, step outside of my comfort zone now. Yeah. Been cutting meat for 10 years, doing nothing. Now, all of a sudden, I'm a business owner. We incorporate, get licensed, insured, all this. We hit the ground running. Like, we're just he and I working on the tools, small odd jobs, like doing flooring in people's houses, painting houses, little basements here and there. So we hire a couple guys to help us out. And my dad says, okay, I'm going to step off the site. I'm going to do, sales. That's his strength anyways, sales. Yep. And, back end stuff like accounting. He's like, the operation's yours. No problem. Okay, I got this. This is my show, like this piece of cake, right? We start getting busy. I'm hiring more guys. We're getting busy, and we kind of grew too quick, too early, too big. So it was out of control. Like we were losing money. I had no idea what I was doing. So the natural, reaction to that is you scale down, try to get it under control. So we went along like that for a while. I'm working on the tools still, learning a lot from the skilled guys I'm, working with. And I realized like I just can't be on the site all day. Like I can't get anything done. I'm trying to manage this and I just can't. So I removed myself from the tools and I just manage. And it got a little better, but I hit a ceiling. And what do I know about running a construction company? Like,
and what was that point? Because I think a lot of people listening, they it's amazing that you're able to share that, and like how real is that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've gone through similar situations, and that realization, like, at what point were you like, this was too much?
It was when I started seeing, number one, the work suffer, because we had too much on the go, and I was still, on site all day trying to get stuff done, realizing I'm behind on, planning for this job, getting these selections done, meeting with his clients, not hitting start dates, not hitting, deadlines for finish dates, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it was really overwhelming. Like I'm in way over my head right here. I remember I called my dad. I'm like, I'm in over my fucking head, man. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I'm swamped.
Yeah.
And, he said, first of all, deep breath. But, if you want to change the results, buddy, you got to change the way you're thinking. So, I started doing some digging. I'm like, okay, what does it take to run a successful company? Amazing. Who out there, like, what can I read? What can I learn? So first it started off with leadership. How do I lead a team? I became obsessed with just learning. So I started reading books, about business, entrepreneurship, construction companies, how to scale systems. And this, I didn't know it at the time, but this sent me down this rabbit hole, this magical thing called mindset.
Yeah.
And that for me was the biggest change. It was a total transformation.
Yeah.
Once I learned that like my success is limited only by my thinking, and that the whole shift in mindset, it completely opened all these doors for me. And I started, changing the way I thought, the way I managed, changing the work culture. I started hiring based on the culture I was striving for. Yep. And, my vision for the company became the group vision. And we wanted to have an impact on the community. We wanted to enrich people's lives through creating exceptional living spaces. All these things became like my people bought into that vision. And, it's like Simon Sinek, that Start With Why. It's exactly like, I read that book. I love that book to pieces, but like, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Right. And so this whole mindset shift completely transformed my business and me personally, this personal growth journey that I'm still on and I'll always be on. It's been absolutely incredible.
I'm so excited to announce that the Guest Life podcast is brought to you by Jobber. Jobber is a field service software that I use daily to make my business run better and more efficiently. From quoting a job to the minute you get paid, Jobber's software makes it seamless to go from start to finish and make sure that everybody has all the things they need to make sure the job's done right and you're paid faster. Jobber software is the best home service software that helped us scale and take our business to the next level. Check out the link in our bio for a free 14-day trial and 20% off your first 6 months. Thanks and enjoy the show.
Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. It's gave me chills there. Like, understanding that all it takes is that shift. Mm-hmm. It's like a light switch. It's on, and the beautiful thing is it doesn't turn off. Right?
Exactly.
And you can always go back to the light switch. Like, excuse me. You can always go back to mindset. And yeah, that's amazing. When you kind of found that, was there a point of overconsumption and underaction?
I'd say in the early stages, I think mainly I just had so much to learn. So I just became a sponge.
Yeah.
And I would just sponge off all these books and podcasts. And, that switched from, sponging off of that to sponging off people that I know, like yourself included.
Yeah.
Like we joined the WHBA. I show up at these events and I'm like super intimidated. Like, whoa, I'm in a room with all these successful people, successful business owners, entrepreneurs. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
And what I realized is these people are very welcoming and they want me to succeed. And, they embraced me with open arms. And so I started taking guys out for lunch, picking their brains, getting feedback, getting advice. And then I really started putting things into action, started implementing systems. We became system and process oriented versus before it was like shoot from the hip and just react. And yeah, it's really transformed our organization.
Yeah. Man, I could tell. And over the years, the marketing seems to just be kind of skyrocketing. Like you're tying that in with the vision and the brand.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
like even from the lawn signs and stuff like that, like those little details, they really matter. And going into the social media game, like what's the first thing everybody does in our space? Check you out on social. What are they about?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's so taking those next steps, right? Like how are you moving forward with that? Like what's the playbook?
Well, the playbook is sustainability. So we talked about my kids and our vision. So my vision isn't just to be a successful elite contractor. It's also to have an impact on the community and to be sustainable. So, that ties into our brand. So IntegriMark, the word integrity is in our name for a reason. It's a core value of my family, core value of our company, and the play now is to just grow the community, have a positive impact on the community, and grow as a company. And they go hand in hand. Stuff like joining Chamber. Like I talked to some friends of mine about should I join Chamber?
Yeah.
Winking at you.
Yeah.
And aligning myself with that vision that they have for the city, my company falls right into that.
Yeah.
So the growth for Hamilton, the growth for our community, IntegriMark wants to play a big role.
And talking about that, like, we get asked all the time, and, you're someone that takes advice and listens. Talk to me about, and all the listeners, talk to us about the organizations, because I think, if there's anything that you do fantastic, one of them is getting involved in the organizations. And a lot of people don't know how to get involved or what it actually takes to be involved. Showing up to the meeting is not getting involved.
No. I'm a big believer in your network is your net worth. Okay. So when I show up to something, I'm not just there to shake hands and say hello and like, hey, I'm IntegriMark. It's about relationships. Like real human relationships really, really matter. So the stronger your relationships are, the stronger the bonds of trust, the more you can accomplish. And that's where, your vision and the relationships tie in together, right? So the more you can accomplish as a unit, as together, the more fulfillment I'm getting out of my career and my personal life in the company as well. So, it's about networking and building relationships because they go a long way. They're going to help you succeed. You can succeed more with your network than you can on your own, right? Of course. So it's just about committing and just being, like when I do something, I'm all in, as you know. So, like stuff like I was talking about the HBA,
because you're on the board of something.
Yeah, the Renovators Council.
Amazing.
So, and that council was dead in the water because of COVID, and once everything shut down, it had never vamped back up. And so, being active in that in the HBA, I said, like, guys, like we need this council. Like all the other committees have fired back up. The renovators need this. So they asked me if I wanted to be the chair. Which the former chair, Joel Roshko, good buddy, Joel.
Of course.
Great guy. I said, you know what, Joel and I will co-chair. I talked to Joel about it. He said, yeah, let's do it. So we fired it back up and it's been incredible. So we have all the best renovators in like Hamilton, Halton, surrounding areas getting together, sharing information, troubleshooting together. Yeah. Somebody brings a problem to the table. We all chime in and like, it's that the rising tide raises all ships mindset. So if we can raise the industry standard together, like we're all succeeding, and it's been incredible.
Yeah.
So it's just about committing, man.
And what's the time commitment on something like that?
It takes up a lot of time. I mean, the meetings themselves don't, but it's just like the planning, getting guys together. So we do a bi-monthly like round table, like an actual council meeting. And then on the off months, we do a social because like, we like just hanging out and shooting the shit. What I found was when we started doing the meetings, half the time guys would just be sitting there talking shop and we wouldn't really be addressing like the agenda. So I said, okay, like let's take this outside and let's stick to the agenda at the meetings.
Yep.
And then, so we get together for a pint, we get together for like a golf sim and we just like have a good time and talk shop and like We all want to see each other succeed, which is incredible. 10 years ago, this mindset, it didn't exist. It was cutthroat.
Yeah.
Guys, I wasn't sharing information with you and vice versa, but now it's like we have a group chat. If somebody's in a pinch, you're like, man, my drywaller just bailed on me. Who has somebody for me? And it's just like, you'll just see a bunch of contacts like, here, try this guy. This guy's good. It's awesome.
That's incredible. And so I don't know if it's like undervalued or under known about, right? Like you think everybody wants to kill each other. People talk about this competition thing. It's like, yeah, the rising tide raises all ships. That's
100%. It's a healthy competition. Like, you know what? And we bid on a lot of the same projects, and one I might get, one Mike might get, one Shane might get, and like there's no hard feelings there.
Yeah. 100%. And that's what brings the quality up, which is essentially brings
100%.
Everybody's happier because the customers are not, at least they've got an apples to apples, presentation.
Absolutely. I would be much happier for a guy like Mike or Shane or Hartwood to get a project that I bid on versus some underground schmuck that's undercutting everybody that, isn't going to be there in 10 years when you need them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not going to stand behind their work.
Exactly.
Yeah. Which happens a lot in the industry. And I think, the back in the day when Mike Holmes was out there going to the houses and checking them out and kind of, unpacking some of these contractors, like it could give us such a bad name. I think we had to crawl back from that. Yeah, it's special, man. And I think, talking about the chamber, that's an interesting one for anybody in the construction industry. I get a lot of questions about the chamber. Just for everybody listening, like, what do you find different from the chamber to the Builders Association? Because I've got my own thing, but I'm biased because I'm pretty active in it.
So I'd say the main difference is the HBA. So for those listening, the WHBA is the West End Home Builders Association. So this is the local builders association for like Hamilton, Halton, like GTA West. So it's very construction industry focused. The chamber, however, is a very wide spectrum. Like you have like hairdressers, developers, restaurant owners, all different types of entrepreneurs. So it's just a little more, there's a lot more variety there. You're getting a lot of different walks of life. So you'd be surprised actually though what you can learn from somebody from a completely different industry. So at the end of the day, everybody is in it for the same thing. Everyone wants to see Hamilton grow. They want to see their businesses grow. They want to see the community grow. So it's cool to be a contractor and go into that world and just, step outside of the construction industry. And I mean, one, it's good for branding, but two, it's just good for your personal and professional growth.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think I'm biased because I love it and I've been a member for years. And I think, defining what is business. So drop whatever your business is, whether you're a dentist business or a contracting business or a plumbing business or an accounting business. Business is business, right? You've got all the same concepts within it to see, how does someone make it sexy in a different light, I think is so special. And being able to connect with other business owners that you might not, Joe Apps, for instance, right? Learning about the tech industry and cybersecurity and stuff like that. Like you're not learning that at the Build Association. I'm sorry.
No, but, of course.
Being able to talk to them over, a drink or a cocktail or at a round table or something like that. It's powerful, man.
Big time. And especially to hear some of their stories. It's incredible. And it's inspiring, right? Like it's very cool. The contractor thing, it's really just a vehicle, right? Like the destination, I think, is sort of the same. Impacting the community and growing.
So looking back on, you say you're working as a butcher until a certain age and then you got an entrepreneurship. Like looking back, would you change it?
Absolutely not. No, it's been a godsend.
Yeah.
Like it's sent me down this path that I had no idea I was in for, and I just love it.
How do you stay in that mindset when you're in chaos?
Well,
what brings you back?
Dan, I'm a very passionate individual, as you know. And like my passion for growth, my passion for the community, my passion for my company and the legacy I want to leave behind for my kids, that drives me. And so it's really hard to get me rattled. It really is. And really being in renovations, you come up with so many problems all the time that just pop up. It's very normal, and you don't get desensitized, but you build thick skin, and you just are able to stay calm and just, okay, here's another problem. Sure, we weren't expecting it. What's the next move? How do we get around it? Versus reacting in a negative way, like, oh fuck, my day's shot now. Like, no, man. If I did that every time a problem came up, like, I'd have no hair and I probably would have retired, right? So yeah, it's just about being thick and just pushing through it.
Yeah. There's a statement. Did you have a bad day or did you have a bad minute?
Exactly.
Right. Did you react poorly in that instance? It's okay. Mm-hmm. How are you going to turn that around? Don't let it be a bad day or a bad week or a bad month. And, that quick turnaround and like that control of your reactions and understanding the outcome. And, a lot of times, especially, in any business, it costs money to make things go wrong. Yep. And you have to understand that it's a long game. And if you're looking at the micro, you don't allow yourself to have abundance come into your life, which I think is so undervalued in the long term, right?
Absolutely. And as the leader, everyone's looking at you for an answer or how to react. And so if you breed that culture within your organization of just, pivoting and just attacking problems versus letting them become bigger than they actually are, it's incredible what people will do once you kind of empower them, right? So it goes a long way. Yeah.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Empowering the people around you. So you're talking about the two young lads you got there, the wife, the family, parents. How do you? We're not talking about how do you. What's your work life compared to your personal life? We used to say, "What's your work life balance?" I stopped saying that. I don't like it. So what's the dynamic between your work life and your personal life? Do you get to shut it off when you're at the barbecue with your dad? What do you talk about?
It's tricky. Yeah, it's definitely challenging. The main thing is you just got to set boundaries. Now, when you talk about shutting it off, I will shut off the work, although my brain keeps going as an entrepreneur who's very passionate about what's going on in his operation. But I think setting boundaries is key, especially when you have young kids. If we're doing family time, it's not about quantity family time, but quality. So if I'm there with the family, it's about being there in the moment. Nice. Especially with how fast they're growing, man. Like, they're already toddlers. It was like a minute ago they were babies, and it's just I'm just trying to take it in. So I try to not let work distract me when I'm spending time with them. It does happen on occasion, but I think communication is a big part. Like communicating with my family about what's going on work schedule wise, and vice versa, communicating with my leadership team about stuff that's going on with family. So at least they understand that, like, hey, if I'm at work and like something comes up and I'm leaving to deal with a family thing, or maybe I got to go take Luca to soccer or whatever it may be. And in turn, the family understanding that, like, hey, dad runs IntegriMark, like he has to go do a work call now, or, like stay out of the office, daddy's working. Like, it's just not to use the word balance, but I think boundaries is a little more accurate.
I love that.
And being able to pivot back and forth between the two, spend some time with the kids, put them to bed. And like, if there's something important going on, I'm going to go back to my office and crunch it out and, wake up early in the morning on the weekend and go hammer some work before the kids get up. Like you figure it out as you go. And it's not always the same. There'll be weeks where I'm just absolutely engulfed in work stuff because there's a lot going on. Yep. And I might not be home that week in the evening very much because I'll have a chamber event, I'll have an HBA thing, or another commitment to a client. And it's just, and then in turn, I make time when I can. And just, you know what, guys, I'm taking Friday and Monday off and I'm spending a long weekend with the kids and the wife. So you just figure it out as you go.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. Thank you so much. Like, I think it's, I think it's a lot of things, especially myself, no family, no kids. It's something that is very intriguing for myself to kind of put myself in those shoes. Like, I've got a couple, I was at a buddy's last night. He's got 4 kids, just his 4th. And he's an incredible entrepreneur. He's an incredible partner. He's an incredible parent. And I think learning and taking that in from a holistic view of life, a lot of people just try to, they become an entrepreneur and they just, dial into, I've only got to read books about entrepreneurship. And then, oh, no way, my personal life's suffering.
Yeah.
Well, of course.
And a real important part there too isn't just the family versus work life. A big focus you need to remember is self-care, right? How is Phil doing? And I think one of the only people that asks me that outside of my family is you. How is Phil doing? Yeah. Right? So you got to remember during all this chaos to take care of yourself too. So that's why I do things like sports. Like I play hockey, play softball, like golf, go to the gym. When COVID was happening and sports were shut down, I got into running. Whatever it is, some people meditate, I smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Like you need to take care of yourself. Otherwise you're going to be a shitty entrepreneur. You're going to be a shitty boss. You're going to be a shitty father, shitty husband, whatever. So you got to look after yourself.
It's fantastic.
You can't forget that.
So we've given a lot of advice to a lot of people. What advice would you give to your younger self? Maybe that little caddy boy.
The caddy boy.
What advice would you give to yourself as younger?
Well, I think with the lack of confidence I had when I was a kid, not confidence socially, but confidence as in the sense of believing in myself. I think number one, I would say, believe in yourself. Don't be scared to dream big. Because if you're brave enough to dream big, the sky's the limit. Because I wasn't there for the longest time. That's the advice I'd give to myself. So whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way you're right. And it's all here. It all starts with mindset, right? So that's where I would go.
I love that, man. Well, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, Phil. That was awesome.
Thanks for having me, man.
Phil, everything of IntegriMark, Ty in the background here, he's going to be putting everything on social. You'll see a bunch of content coming out. Some of Phil's projects are just fantastic. We have the opportunity to work on it at Guest that we're very proud of. For everybody tuning in, thanks so much. Guys, episode 53, we wouldn't be here without you guys tuning in, listening, giving us feedback, transitioning, getting people. We've been sent quite a few people. If you know somebody that wants to come on the show that you think fits the bill, let us know. And until then, thanks so much.